I'm not really the kind of person who wants to impersonate someone because I like looking more hyped up than any other person might ever look. You'd never catch me dressing as a real person. I think it's kind of dull. I'd rather be the fantasy person I am.
She's very well known in Vegas for her celebrity impersonations of Madonna, Cher, Celine Dion, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Gary Coleman. But tonight she's here as her pretty little self. She's going to sing for you an old traditional folk song. Let's hear it from Mistress Veronica.
This girl right here, she needs to get fucked tonight or something. She's feeling horny.
Lucky Chengs came about in 1993. I'd had this space before as a restaurant called Cave Canum, which didn't work. And I decided to redo it with Pan-Asian cuisine. And when we started doing the interviewing, we were looking for Asian staff. And I interviewed an Asian transsexual, and I thought, oh, perfect.
I'm showing some love. I want you to show the staff some love, so that's why I passed around some lovely envelopes on each table. Those are our lovely show tip envelopes. You have one on the bar as well, because tipping is not a city in China.
When you get dressed up spectacularly from head to toe, that you know, doors open for you, left and right. When I was first asked to work here, I had some reservations about it. I mean, all these different images of dirty old men and people with alternative motives. After some nagging from some friends of mine who worked here, who wanted me to come in, I decided to give it a chance, to see what it was like, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
I have a present for you. You like sushi? Like spicy tuna with hot wasabi.
I came out of what you would call the East Village drag scene, which was sort of an alternative to more traditional beaded gown pageant drag. We were doing a lot more outrageous things, crazy costumes, at very late night parties that I would say people who don't go out very late at night weren't seeing.
I'm a virgin. It doesn't count when you ride a horse, right? It doesn't count when you ride the horse. What about when you fuck the horse? Does that count? Oh, that doesn't count, then I'm still a virgin.
I'll go to the straightest bar, just like this. I'll walk right in and sit at the bar and drink a martini, honey, and chat with that man behind the bar, or hit on that straight man sitting next to me. Honey, there's no shame in my game. When I was a little toddler, I used to wear my mother's palms. And you know, when she was at work, put on one of her dresses and parade around the living room. After I graduated college, then that's when the drag started. That's when I started putting the high heels and the gowns and the jewels and the nails.
You know, when I was in high school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I could do this, and never in my dream I'd be like, how about a drag waitress for 10 years? My mother, Nancy, every time we went to the mall, it was, Nancy, your daughter is so pretty. And Nancy would be like, oh, that's my son. And, oh, I'm so sorry, because I've always had that, whenever I'm walking down the street, they always think I'm just some flat-chested girl. It was almost natural just for me to emulate it, and you just sort of, I'm very androgynous, and I like that. So, no, I think it kind of chose me in a way. I think society chose me and made me this way. Blame society.
The people that come here are a little square. They don't know what they're getting into. So when they go in there, they're like, oh,
But it's all in fun.
It's all in fun.
Nothing
You know,
serious.
we are hairdressers.
I know my hair is a little messy tonight, but I was fixing the front, and the front is working. The front's working, right?
Yeah.
It looks really cute, right?
Yeah.
Before I was a drag queen, I was a club kid, and I used to dress in like freak outfits. Like I glued studs to my face and glue rhinestones all over my face and stuff. And where like I had shoes like this tall, there were stacks like Doc Martens. They were really cool. And I used to I was a freak. But then when I moved to New York, the whole club kid thing was over, and so I had to do something else, and so I had to become a drag queen. I had never done tits before, never tucked or anything, and so I just started doing that. I became a drag queen out of circumstance because there was nothing else to do.
Are you a pimp? Are these your whores? They are hot. It's your birthday? You're a hooker, but what's going on? Why do you have you're getting married? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about all of you who aren't from the city, but there's a tradition in New York, especially amongst the hookers and pimps, where the biggest money-making whore, I mean, that is the bitch that sucks and fucks so many people that she makes so much money, gets to marry her pimp, ladies and gentlemen.
This may surprise some. I'm a lesbian. I'm attracted to women. I started dressing, I think when I was like 5 or 6 years old, where I knew something was different. It was really difficult because I was growing more like a boy, but I still felt like a girl inside. And I always cross-dressed as a child into my adulthood. I stopped for a few years, tried to repress it due to family, friends, Christian guilt and such, but I only could have done it for so long without driving myself insane.
Well, we were just walking around for a place to eat, and we just walked in here. The restaurant's closed, but the karaoke was open, so we saw someone sing like a virgin.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool.
What did you think of the drag queens?
I think it's awesome.
They're really, really hot. You have to go see it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah.
You have to start off with like clear canvas, and then you start piling everything on so you can make it pretty. We were doing like this monster drag at the time in the early 90s. And then my friend Perpedia, she goes, you know, when that was coming to an end, she goes, "You want to make more money?" She goes, "If you were to shave off your little goatee and do your eyes more, you could travel the world." Like, really? Like, yeah, and we'll put you in a dress. Like, okay, help me. And that's how I got started.
And my cousin said that she used to do a test with me when I was a kid. She said that she put like boy toys on one side of the room and girl toys on the other side of the room, and I would automatically go up to and play with the girl toys. I used to be a child model, so I had an excuse to wear makeup. So, you know, it's like no one's gonna say anything. I would have posters of like Boy George and George Michael, like all these people on my walls, and so my mother was like, "What are you doing? What are you wearing that?" And I'm like, "Look."
Hey, Sue. Hey, buddy. What's going on, buddy? All right. Lucky Chengs is like being Captain Kirk on the Star Trek Enterprise. It's an adventure all the time. It's never the same thing every day.
Everyone was a designer. I was a designer also. And the biggest thing for the weekend was to go to the discotheques and outdo each other in dressing up and costumes that you've designed or everything like that. And being a novice, I didn't know what to wear, how to do my makeup, you know, what kind of wigs to wear. Before that, it was funny. Drag queens, cross-dressers used to scare me. And some friends of mine dressed me up like a Barbie doll and, you know, set me out there. We went to the discotheque and surprisingly was able to get in free.
And that night was freaky. I took ecstasy that night, actually. It was the first time I did ecstasy also. The first time, yeah, you know what? The first time I went out dressed was the first time I took ecstasy. It was fun. I had a blast.
You get whatever you want, when you want it, and you say, "No, I don't want to do that now." You know, it's kind of empowering. It's also like kind of cool to be someone else at the moment, you know, because you totally become someone else. You know, which is it's pretty cool. It's just an extension of yourself. It's like being an actor.
It's like putting on a superhero costume.